Hello and welcome back to this series. Graydon Atanasov, Gates, Hollerith, Hopper, Iverson, and Neumann. These are your instructions, last instructions for quarter 4, week 7. And this also serves as the last week for this quarter and actually for the entire year na. Yan. And the topic is about electricity. So what you're supposed to do with your LASs is that you're supposed to read the following background information. Okay, so for the first paragraph, it's merely asking you if you can imagine life without electricity. It has been an essential tool in carrying out a lot of our daily tasks with ease and efficiency. The production of things that we often use at home and work is all made possible by, electricity. Tayo, in our modern kind of living, we have been quite dependent on electricity for survival. However, it only takes like a few people, parang napakakonti lang na mga talagang nagtatanong how electricity is actually generated, paano siya natatransmit, and paano siya nakakarating sa mga bahay-bahay natin. Okay, so in this activity sheet, in this week, the focus, as it was said by writers, are the following. So, the focus are these three essential questions. How is electricity generated in power plants? Tapos, how is electricity transmitted in cables and wires? And how is electricity distributed in houses in order to supply power to appliances? Yung learning competency natin is explain how electrical energy is generated, transmitted, and then distributed. Okay. So the first thing that you will see in the next page is going to be the sources of energy. And at the center of this are, energy sources lang. Okay, so all of these are sources of energy, and what you're supposed to do is to read them one by one. The first source in the upper left-hand corner is geothermal energy. Ang sabi dito is it is the heat. I can't highlight it. It's the heat that comes from the subsurface of the earth. There are wells, merong mga wells that are harvesting that heat. Tapos that well is connected to a steam chamber, and then that steam chamber is connected to turbines, and then the turbines are connected to generators, and that um, generates electricity, produces electricity. Ang examples na binigay dito ay yung geothermal power plant in Valencia, Negros Oriental. So basically, kapag sinabing geothermal energy, this is the kind of energy that we get from the heat of the planet. Okay? Wind energy naman ay the energy that we get from the wind. The wind is going to act as the force that it's going to exert the force that was needed to turn turbines that are in the windmills. Ayan. And then the turbine is going to turn the generator to create electricity. Yung 150 megawatt Burgos wind farm in Ilocos Norte is considered to be the biggest wind farm in the Philippines, and is also used as an example for this LAS. Yung next na source of electricity from the left is solar energy. It uses up solar radiation and is directly converted into electricity. Wala nang involved na turbines. Okay, so meron tayong mga power plants, solar power plants in the Philippines, and among them ay yung nandyan sa may Mexico, Pampanga, the Raslag Solar Power Plant. Okay, in Mexico, Pampanga. To the right naman is hydroelectric power plant. A hydro, which implies the use of water. A hydraulic turbine converts the energy of flowing water into mechanical energy. So yung mga kanina, bawa yung wind, yun yung nagta-turn ng turbine to generate electricity. Pero this time, it's gonna be the flow of water. An example is the Pantabangan Dam in Nueva Ecija. Okay, we proceed now to the nuclear power. What it does is it harnesses the splitting of atoms. Kapag kasi yung atom na split or na divide siya into two, it's gonna release a lot of energy, a tremendous amount of energy. And that has the ability to boil water into steam, which turns the blades of a steam turbine that are connected to generators to generate electricity. Ayan. So, yung kanina, yung sa geothermal power plant, yung nagiging source ng thermal energy ay yung thermal energy na galing sa subsurface ng planeta natin. But this time, nuclear power plant, what it uses naman is the energy that was harnessed, thermal energy that was harnessed from the splitting of atoms. Biomass naman is the energy that is generated or produced by living organisms or some organisms that were once living. Ang pinaka-common na biomass ay yung corn and soy. So the energy from these organisms can be burned to create heat or converted into electricity. So meron tayong farms for biomass such as the one in Victoria's City, Negros Occidental, the Victoria's Milling Company. So far it gave you 6 sources of electrical energy. Now, one example of an energy source that provides electricity is yung wind farm ng Bangi, Ilocos Norte. Now, the question is, how do these wind turbines work? Yung air, as it was said kanina, instead of like water, the flow of air, the movement of air, is what spins the blades of the wind turbine. And then, kapag nag-turn yung mga yon, the shaft inside the turbine rotates. The shaft is connected to the generator, which then creates electricity to power thousands of homes. That is how electricity is generated. Okay, ganyan siya napoproduce. Ngayon, kung na-produce na siya, like, halimbawa, in the example of, say, geothermal energy. Halimbawa, na-harness na yung geothermal energy from the subsurface of the planet, nakapagpa-steam na siya, nakapagpa-boil na siya ng water into steam, and then the steam flowed through the turbines, and then the turbines that are connected with generators produced electricity. Paano yan ang mangyayari? Anong mangyayari sa electricity na yon once it's generated? The next step is going to be transmission, and the last step is going to be distribution. Okay, so in power stations, large spinning turbines, this is still regarding it's still regarding generation. So after niyang ma-generate, the electrical current is sent through transformers. Ang gagawin ng mga transformers, okay, hindi yung tulad ng mga transformers na nasa movie, pero what this does is they will be increasing the voltage, yung push, okay, yung pagtulak ng electricity para maipadala yung electricity over long distances. Okay, so next naman is yung electrical charge is then carried by transmission lines held up by large towers. So from the transformer, maika-carry na yon, maipupush na yon through transmission lines. So pwede na siya magbiyahe. And then from the transmission lines, the electricity reaches a substation. So it is a station that is far from the main generation station. So what it does is yung mataas na voltage niya kanina is papababaan na. Okay? Bakit ganon? Kailangan yung papababa kasi yung voltage kasi baka naman kasi like mga shock yung mga transmission lines that will be carrying electricity from that point on. Okay, so importante na ma-step down or ma-lower yung voltage para hindi mag-burn yung mga smaller na mga power lines. After that, electricity is then sent through distribution lines papunta na sa mga communities. Yung mga mas maliit pa mga transformers, kaya pa nila na mas paliitin pa yung voltage, pababain pa yung voltage para safe na makarating or makapasok sa mga bahay-bahay natin yung electricity. And that is already distribution. Okay, and then the last one is finally, the electricity travels through the wires sa loob ng mga walls or maybe sa mga surfaces ng walls ninyo. Depende kung nakalabas. Okay, and then they are ready to power your devices. So, from generation to transmission, transmission, tapos transmission, and then distribution, and then distribution. Actually, this is already consumption. Okay, so yun yung mga steps niya. No? Now, these activities are the required activities from you. However, activity number 1, locate me, so it serves as your performance assessment for dash 2. So your answers to this activity must be put in your portfolio, specifically as PA 4-2. I already included a map in that in the portfolio. I already gave you a sample dot na pwede nyong magamit para mailagay. Okay, so what you're supposed to do is to research. Okay, research kung saan banda ang mga areas na to, yung Maria Cristina Falls, Iligan City, Calaca, Batangas, TV Albay, Dampas, Tagbilaran City, and Bataan. Because it is in these places where you find these power plants. And then you also have to indicate yung region kung saan sila nabibilang. Okay, so kung region 1 ba yan, region 2, and so on. Okay, so you just have to put the region here, complete the table, and then identify by putting a dot on the map kung saan sila banda. Okay, again, let me repeat. This serves as your PA 4-2, so make sure that you put your answers in the proper slides. Okay? Okay. The next one is you have to fill in the following the blanks in these paragraphs with words coming from this box. Okay? So you're supposed to do this activity, and you have to make sure that you check your own work and that you indicate the score your score in this activity. You have a copy of the answers at the back of your learning activity sheets dun sa may answers key. Okay, check your own work, indicate the score, put a photo or a screenshot of your answers in the portfolio. Now, the last one, activity 3, you're not required to do this anymore. Okay? You're not required to do this. Okay, so that ends the instructions for quarter 4, week 7. I hope that you listened really well, okay, to these instructions. If you need to get some clarification, please make sure that you ask them. Okay, pero before you ask me, I would like you to please listen carefully, take notes, okay, in these instructions para hindi na lang tayo paulit-ulit, para hindi tayo nagsasayang ng time sa ating mga synchronous natin sa mga live sessions natin. Hopefully, sa mga live sessions, ang matagal natin na yung mga mas importanteng mga bagay, hindi yung mga bagay na clarify ko na instruct ko na sa inyo. Okay? This serves as the last in the series of last instructions. Okay, so I am going to see you back in our live session, and that is where we're going to have further discussions.